What's up, folks? Ed the Man Parrot here with Carl No Except Terry and Chili Rogers. Say hi, Chili. Hello, people. Over there. First of all, we want to say that obviously you see we're a man down. Mario Lights Out Spina had a death in the family this week, so we ask that everyone has a moment of silence and our thoughts and prayers go out to Mario and his family in this troubled time.
Absolutely.
Miss you, brother. Love you. See you next week. All right. First quarter of Pigskin Holiday, Week 9, is brought to you by Sponsorless Tennis Shoes. They blink and they white. All right. A little bit of news, not much. A little news out of Tennessee, Carl.
In the Tennessee?
Chris Johnson held out for a long time, signed a big contract. Who didn't do much? Chris Johnson didn't do much.
That is right.
And come to find out, this week came out that at the end of this season, the Titans can get out of his contract. He'll make about $13 million on the season.
Woohoo!
And if not, if they let him go ahead and come back next year, they can still get out of the contract after next season.
Man.
So he has to perform.
Oh yeah.
To get that $53.5 million contract in full.
Yeah, he's going to have to pick it up a lot.
Yes.
He's nowhere near where he should be. For one, for playing like he has played, and for two, playing for the money that they're giving him.
Yeah, I never liked holdouts at all, but if you do hold out and you come back,
yeah,
you better perform.
Gotta step it
Adrian
up.
Peterson, who didn't hold out,
right,
has been a little bit up and down, but
right,
he had some lights out games.
He has.
Lights out.
That is for Mario.
Through 7 games, Chris Johnson has 302 yards and 1 touchdown. I mean, I think Cam Newton has more than that.
He does.
He's a quarterback.
Yeah, he's got a lot more than that, and he has a lot more touchdowns as well.
So that being said, CJ had better perform, or he may be OJ. That's
out of job?
Yes.
Oh, I knew what you meant.
Okay, well, here we are in Week 9, and again, craziness in the NFL.
All the time. This has been one of the absolute best seasons I've ever watched and or read about and or heard people talking about.
Yeah.
It's just been all over the place. Scores that you wouldn't expect from teams you wouldn't expect. Close games.
Wins and losses from teams you wouldn't expect.
Right, and close games where you wouldn't think there would be one. And then blowouts where you wouldn't think that there would be one. It's just been a great year so far.
Fun we have had on the show.
Oh, this has been great.
It's been awesome. We're glad you guys are enjoying it.
Absolutely.
The hits have slowed down a little bit. So what we need all you people to do is, first of all, subscribe. We have like 6 or 7 subscribers right now.
We do.
We need more subscribers. We need everyone to tell their friends and their friends to tell their friends. We need to network this Pigskin Holiday thing because it's going to be huge. Be a part of it.
It'd be huge like my belly. Except huger.
Okay. Let's hit some scores. Let's just start with the Rams. The 1-7 Rams. Now, you beat the Saints 31-21 with the Cardinal mojo.
Yeah.
And then you go on the road to Arizona, who you had identical records going in. Both for 1-6. And you can't beat the Cardinals?
Yeah, that was very disappointing. I mean, Jackson was doing good. He had a good game, but that's about where it ended.
You know,
they made some bad calls, especially towards the end.
At one point, you go for a first down instead of a field goal. I don't understand that one.
I don't either. He is by far, like by leaps and bounds, above the rest of the receiving corps in St. Louis.
Oh, Brandon Lloyd.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, people are going to know that, but knowing that, they're going to be covering him more, and the other receivers should be picking it up a notch.
Well, I do take note, though, that we're already missing Amendola, but we also did not have Denario Alexander yesterday, which is a big weapon missing out of the receiving corps, which means more to go to Lloyd.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a Bradford thing, and I was looking forward to him coming back, but when he came back, we didn't gain anything. We actually went back a little bit because he's been out for 2 weeks, hobbling on that ankle. I don't know he was kind of off his game yesterday.
He was, and that kind of blindsided me. I was expecting him to be like, all right, I've been out, I'm ready to go.
Light it up.
And that didn't happen at all.
No, I mean, but again, it's a game the Rams coulda, shoulda won.
They've had several of those this year, and that's the thing that, like I talked about last week, that they're pissing me off so bad, is last week they performed so great against a great team That's how they should be playing every week. And why aren't they? What's the deal?
I don't know, but you have to figure, maybe a coaching change.
It may.
Something's got to give.
Something needs to change one way or another.
They only put up 13 points, though.
Yeah.
And again, it's a close game. Your defense keeps you in it. The offense just can never shut the door.
No.
Well, they did last week, but that's the first time in all year.
Yeah, and that, at the rate that they're going, if they can do what they did against the Saints, but they can't do anything against the Cardinals, they're going to have a rough time getting anything else going.
Well, they have to face Arizona again, and they better not let this happen twice.
Yeah, especially at home.
Exactly.
Then
the good thing is Rams tickets are getting cheaper.
Yes.
So that's good for us.
We could possibly do another show from there.
Hey. So,
root for the other team.
it was very disappointing. Again, it's the same story all year. The defense keeps the game close. Offense cannot produce enough fireworks to win the game.
I don't necessarily know that it's the defense is keeping it close, but they're keeping it close for the first half and then letting it slip away during the second, is what I've noticed they've been doing.
But if you had enough offense to counterpunch that, you'd be okay.
Right, but their offense has been consistently bad through the first half and the second half, aside from one game.
Right.
And the defense has been consistently good the first half, consistently bad the second.
Right.
So they've got to get their
only lost
act together.
19-13, and that 19, 6 of that came in the punt return by Peterson.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, had the same thing against Baltimore last week. That guy is lights out.
He is.
He's good. So the special teams with the Cardinals, we've got to give them props.
Absolutely.
They block a punt. Block a field goal.
Right.
And run a punt back. 99 yards.
Yeah, that's good.
And made it look easy.
No.
How about let's go from a bad game to a really good game.
All right.
The shootout at the OK Corral between the Packers and the Chargers.
Woo! That was a dandy. I mean, the Packers were up by a lot at one point, and then the Chargers just came right back, and they kept it close that whole time. They've given them a harder run for their money than anybody has at this point.
83 points were scored in that game yesterday.
Yeah, that's crazy. It was 45-38.
Man.
And that could have easily went the other way around if it wasn't for, again, kind of a botched deal at the end with Rivers. That's 2 weeks in a row now.
What's with this guy?
I don't know.
You know what I think? I doubt it'll happen. You know what he needs? A team change. Change of scenery. McNabb didn't work for him. He thought he needed that. He should have stayed where he was at and retired. Washington didn't work. Minnesota didn't work. But Rivers needs a change of address. That's what I'm saying.
I think that's a very distinct possibility.
Live TV. You can get it if you want.
But I mean,
camera's fine.
Rivers, he had an outstanding game. I mean, he was 28 for 46, but the yardage 385, and then the touchdowns 4. I mean, the only other person to get 4 touchdowns this whole week, Rodgers. Exactly. Who was 21 for 26.
Now that's pretty efficient, though.
That is very efficient. He didn't have nearly as many yards. He only had 247.
But they must have ran the ball a lot because you only throw the ball that many times.
Yeah, Starks, he had 66 yards, and that was most of their run game, besides Rodgers, who had 52 yards of his own.
Okay.
And that was on 8 different attempts, so he was all over the place. That's like usual.
About 4.5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I want to look about this Green Bay game. This is a lot like the St. Louis Arizona game. The Rams don't have enough offense to keep up with what their defense gives them. The Packers have plenty of offense because the defense ain't giving them. They allowed 38 points. The Rams could have done the same thing, but they had the offense because the Packers were on the ropes during that game with those shitty uniforms on. But that's a situation where your defense is allowing 38 points, but your offense could counterpunch.
Right.
Well, the Rams are in the opposite situation. The defense is keeping the game low, but you can't score crap.
Wait.
So the Packers need to fix the defensive problem if they're going to go.
Yeah, and that's funny talking about a defensive problem for the Packers too.
I know, right?
Because they are stacked.
They're very stacked.
All the way through. I mean,
But it was San Diego.
Right, that's kind of the difference there. But, I mean, they struggled with the Rams, too, there for a while.
But if you look at Green Bay's games this year, there's been a few games, even like the Saints game in the opening week, where the defense has not quite been stellar.
Right.
With Matthews,
Yeah.
and there's too many weapons over there to understand why this happens. Woodson is lights out.
Absolutely, all the time.
So, anyway, Packers are 8-0,
Yeah.
Chargers are 4-4, and I don't know.
Here's Rivers, how he had the 4 touchdowns. 3 of those went to Vincent Jackson.
VJ?
He had some insane stats. He only 7 receptions, 141 yards, and 3 touches. Any other week, any other team, that would have been a W for the Chargers.
Exactly.
But that kind of brings me back to, a couple weeks ago, whenever we had that whole special on the Packers. That's how good that they really are, is that they could take these numbers against a team that would blow out anybody else,
right?
And they could still come out on top.
And that was my next point. That's how the Patriots used to be. Not as much right now this season, but the point I'm making is the good teams can allow these things to happen and still find a way to win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes you a great team. Otherwise, you collapse and you give in. Packers said no accept. And
they've been saying no accept a lot this year.
I still say I'm worried about Chicago and Minnesota. And Detroit, hard to say.
I think that they're going to split it with Detroit. Me and Mario have, and it's going to be the home game for each of them is the one that we both think they're going to win.
Thanksgiving Day and New Year's Day.
Yep.
All right, let's go on. Anything more on that?
No, that pretty much was the main thing I wanted to touch on. I mean, Nelson, he had 5 receptions, 105 yards and a touch. That's a lot. But, I mean, that was the biggest thing, was that the connection between Rivers and Jackson was outstanding. It was stellar. Why couldn't they have that against any other team every other game?
All right, how about the surprising San Francisco 49ers?
Oh, man.
Who are 7-1. But think about this. Remember last week, they didn't put up a lot of points.
No.
We were concerned about that. They only put up 19 this week against the Redskins.
Well.
Who are decimated by injuries on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
19-11 was the final score for this game.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is that they keep getting the W's. This is like, this last week and this week are prime examples of, like, reverse Cam Newton syndrome.
Yeah.
Like, he puts up outstanding numbers, and then they still lose. These guys aren't putting up such high numbers, but they're still pulling out those victories. And guess what? Victories at the end of the day is all that matters. You can have 5 yards, and if it counts for a touchdown and that's all you get, and the other team gets nothing, there you go.
This is an example of this 7-1 49ers team is not like the Buffalo Bills and the Detroit Lions of the first few weeks of the season. We were worried about them. Can they handle winning?
Yeah.
San Francisco's had to work pretty hard. They had the one loss against Dallas.
Yeah.
But they're a hard-working team, and they're winning games on low points.
Yes, they are.
Which those are character builders for your team.
It is.
This is a team that's probably going to take that division.
At the rate they're going,
who's the challenger?
I don't see there being a challenger at this point.
And we'll probably go see them at the Dome this season against the Lambs.
Well, that's a good game for us to go as 49ers fans.
And the more they keep going like this, the tickets get a little cheaper and a little cheaper.
Yeah.
You pay more for service charges and shipping.
Exactly. Yeah. But, that's fine by me.
Maybe we can get Jen to 2 NFL games this year.
Yeah.
Go Packers.
Be nice.
All right, any more on that game?
Smith, he was 17 for 24, 200 yards and a touch. And then Beck, he was 30 for 47, 254 and a touch. So what happened here? He was getting high yards. This is like Mario was talking about. They're getting these high yards.
No,
where's the TD to back it?
You can't find the end zone.
He got one.
The end zone's right there.
Yeah, it's so close. I mean, you go 2.5 football fields down there, but you only managed to get 1 touchdown?
Right.
How does this happen?
That's the Mario syndrome.
Yeah.
Like that.
Many know.
All right, one more game to cover here in the first quarter. And you have some good divvies on this one. Falcons and Colts.
Ooh, yeah.
31-7.
Oh, my Lord. This was a stomping. And the Colts have been getting a lot of those this year. Well, they started off really fighting it, really competing. Now it just seems like they've lost it. They don't it's like they don't even care anymore.
It's a bad deal because I talked to you before the show tonight about, you know, if I'm Curtis Painter, Manning goes down, and then they get Cowens, then he goes down.
Yeah.
Son, it's your team. Get out there and lead them.
Yeah, I mean,
you're in the NFL.
He could be doing what, like you said, what Castle did for Brady.
Exactly.
He could be doing that right now. I mean, you're not expecting a perfect season from a backup. You're not.
No.
But Castle did the absolute best you could possibly do for a backup.
He did fantastic for the Patriots.
That was amazing. And just to see anything even similar to that out of Painter would be great. But no. Instead, he has a game like this where he's 13 for 27 with 98 yards. Really? Come on. Ryan, on the other hand, was 14 for 24 with 275 and 3 touches.
And that was the return of Julio Jones.
Oh, my Lord.
A big part of the game.
What a return this was, too. The man only had 3 receptions. However, the numbers are outstanding. 131 in yardage and 2 touches. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Out of 3 receptions, 2 of them were in the end zone. And you're looking at over 50 on 2 of them. Easy.
Well, I saw the first one. It was Ryan just basically threw it up.
Oh yeah, it was just like.
And if I remember correctly, Julio Jones had 2 defenders on him, and it kind of fell in between. He kind of like fell under it, and just kind of went low.
They initially said that wasn't a touchdown, and they'd been reviewing all the scoring drives, but they was like nope. But then they reviewed it, and they was like, oh, because. I mean, it looked like that ball hit the ground from the angle that they was at.
It was very close.
But whenever they flipped the camera around, or it was from the end zone watching him, he was just like down, and it just like hit his elbow. He just covered that up. It was great. That was a stellar, that was picture perfect catch.
So the Falcons, they're 5-3, and they're looking to contend for a playoff spot, and they're not out of it.
No, the Falcons are probably going to do what they did last year. They're going to get there and they get knocked out. And
they're kind of inconsistent.
Well, they have a good season generally, and then they falter in the playoffs. Is generally what the Falcons do. Michael Turner didn't have a stellar game. He in 19 runs with 71 yards, and he got a touch, but that's pretty low A for him, and that took a lot of carries to get that too. Right. And then on the other hand, Brown for the Colts, he had 16 for 70 and no touches. So it was a really, other than Ryan and Jones, it was kind of a slow day really. I mean, the score wouldn't dictate that, other than the fact that the Colts had nothing basically.
We discuss all the time the stats and scores don't always indicate how the game was played and what went on the field, and that's another situation like that.
Yep.
So the Colts are 0-9.
Why would you not get him and have him training under Manning?
Yeah, because Manning's not going to play more than, 5 more years maybe?
Tops. If everything from his surgery goes perfect, and his health stays perfect like it had up until now, or as close to it as possible, injuries that he can work through, then yeah, tops 5. And
a lot of pitchers in baseball have that, what's that, Tommy John surgery? Yeah. And they come back better. So Manning could come, with having a year off and being like, I don't like this, I want to play football. Absolutely. And getting himself all fixed up and resting up the year, so to speak, he may come back better next year.
That's always possible.
They need to build around
him. I can rule that out for him because he's such a phenomenal player. And it's obvious what kind of an impact he has on this team, because flip this around to last year, totally different team. Yeah. And the difference is him. Exactly. And
his brother Eli is doing quite well over there in New York. So in the second quarter, we're going to touch on the Dolphins and the Chiefs. We're going to touch on the Bucs and the Saints. We're going to touch on Tim Tebow's day in Oakland and Cleveland, Houston. With that being said, we'll be right back here on Pigskin Holiday.